Hello, my beautiful badgers. Messi Coda back again with another live dev interview, this time with Tony Lee from Pixel Crushes and his amazing grid controller, the grid-based first-person movement controller for Unity. You can make amazing games just like Eye of the Beholder or Dungeon Master with just clicks of buttons and no need for any code thanks to Tony Lee. We had a fantastic chat. Really enjoyed talking to Tony again. It's been on before and he can come back whenever he wants because it's always a blast. And I hope you enjoy it too, so sit back, enjoy these dark dungeons, and I'll see you all in a second. Everybody's sitting at home in front of your Google Watches, your microwave PCs, your Alexa computers of the future. Give it warm and messy, but never asset breaking. Welcome to Pixel Crushers Tony Lee. Welcome back to the stream, buddy.
It's a pleasure to be back.
And you've brought a new baby.
Great to be chatting with you again.
Oh, mate, it's great to have you. Well, your new baby, very pretty baby, you brought with you.
Thank you. It's Grid Controller. As I mentioned earlier, it's a bit of a sidestep from the more narrative assets that we focus on, but I've always had a soft spot for the grid-based games like Legend of Grimrock, going all the way back to the Wizardry series.
See, when I look at this, I'm thinking of Heretic and the other game that was around them days, which is like based off Doom before Quake, I think. That's where my brain goes. So I'm not aware of the more modern anything after Quake or after Doom. I'm not aware of. I'm aging. I'm dating myself now. So what type of games? What did you have in mind when you're describing the? I don't know what it is. So what type of game is it?
So Grid Controller is a grid-based movement controller, which means that rather than being freeform like Doom and Quake, where you can walk around any square or any pixel of the map.
Oh, Eye of the Beholder style.
Exactly.
Oh,
that was a big influence.
There you go. I get you now. What was those? The Myth, was that one? It was on the Mac. Was it called? What was it called?
No, Myth was an early real-time strategy game, but there was Myst.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Myst.
That was kind of like a grid-based game. It was more of a room-based game, like an adventure game.
So,
but
have you made something with it though?
Yeah, Eye of the Beholder, Dungeon Master was another game of this genre. More recent versions have been Operencia and Legend of Grimrock, but my first memory of PC gaming was Wizardry 1, which was yeah, you will. And I'm really showing my age. Fortunately, I don't have an HD camera, so you can't see all the gray in my hair. But
what was it called? What was it called?
Wizardry.
And
there was a whole series of Wizardry games, but I was hooked from the very first one. It was a grid-based game, very much like Dungeons and Dragons, where you would have a party of up to 6 characters moving around in a grid-based dungeon.
So I found a video while you've got adverts playing. Skip that. It went on since 1981. It started.
I don't know that I played it exactly in 1981, but well, not too far from that though.
Oh wow! So let's skip this offer of getting subscribed to YouTube, pay money for it. So Wizardry, Proving Grounds of the Overlord, of the Mad Overlord, 1981. Let's have a look. We have a cartoony introduction, and then oh my! Let's get rid of the advert.
So you can see that is as retro as it gets. Now with Grid Controller, you can make games that retro. In fact, I was pleased to see that one user of Grid Controller did a remake of a very old school game called Mad Maze that was available on the Prodigy network system, which was kind of a precursor of consumer internet. So it was early, maybe late 80s.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was able in just a few days to basically remake that game in Grid Controller.
Oh my word. Oh, did you ever play Aliens on the Spectrum?
No, I didn't. I didn't have a ZX Spectrum.
Oh, you've missed out, mate. You missed out. Well, unlike Alien, which was a very weird strategy type game on the old computers, Aliens was like this, like your grid based either holder type wizardry game, but you were on the ship. And when the alien would on the screen, it would kind of like you could try and shoot it on the screen, and then it would disappear. You would have to like rotate and try to run away. It was very stressful and scary. And now you've just made me want to try to remake that myself.
Well, there you go, Grid Controller.
So you said the person was able to make a remake in just a couple of days using Grid Controller.
Yes. Now, they had to drop in their own art. It was more of a pixel style art, but as far as moving around, they actually used Grid Controller for moving around and the dialogue system for the dialogue in the game.
Of course they did. Of course they did, Tony. Would they use anything other? So does it natively? I'm going to assume, you being you've made all of your assets work beautifully together.
Oh, of course. I wouldn't want for myself to struggle getting assets working together, but also, I know a lot of people have stories in their heads that they want to tell, and the type of movement controller and type of gameplay shouldn't get in the way of telling the story through dialogue.
So this would work with Quest Machine as well?
Yes. Now, there's another user who hasn't released publicly the project that they're working on, but they are, in fact, using Quest Machine and Grid Controller together for, of all things, a puzzle game.
Oh.
It's, they're using HDRP, I believe.
Oh, dear.
And that game just looks beautiful.
HDRP. There's a lot of people in chat that love it. You've got a playable demo. Hexen. That's what I was thinking of. Watch Me Make Games. That's the other one I was thinking of. Hexen.
That's right.
Was Hexen grid based?
No, it wasn't. That was also, I believe, based on the Doom engine, or maybe it was based on the Duke Nukem engine. I don't remember.
One of those you couldn't look up and down, and I think Heretic was the first of those types of games that you could look up and down before anyone. I think was it Heretic? One of those. Hexen must have been the one. I think Hexen, if it was the second one, was the one that you could look up and down, and Heretic you couldn't. Either way, I was able to get them running on my Amiga, PowerPC Amiga, Tony, that was running converted Mac games that were on PowerPC processor based. It was a few modern games I was able to get to run on my Amiga, PowerPC Amiga. Oh my word! Does Grid Controller work with Playmaker? Oh, good question.
It doesn't have any specific Playmaker actions, but I'm not sure that it needs any. It's primarily just a movement controller, so you can drop it in and use it alongside Playmaker just fine.
So as a movement controller, I'm assuming that each grid, and I haven't tried to break it yet, but I'm just going to do an assumption here. Each grid has a like a waypoint set, so that as you move, it anchors the player to those waypoints, so that they
Not so much waypoints as simple
locations.
locations, grid-based locations. So coordinates. You specify the square size of the grid, and it will move that far with, and then if you slide off to the side a little bit, it will adjust to make sure that you are perfectly positioned in the center of every square.
Oh, lovely. So
And
it's rather simplistic in its design. I think is that where it's the power of it comes from, that it doesn't try to do too much and too crazy. Like you're saying, it's just a movement controller, so that it doesn't get in the way of all the other code that you want to put in.
that's right. I figure there are so many subgenres or types of games that benefit from this type of movement that it would be best to keep it short and simple. There were some surprising little gotchas that the code takes care of, and so I'm glad that
Are you
there is
going to say what they are?
Yeah. Well, things like free look movement, free look with mouse, for instance, or with a joystick. It works with all input devices, and it works with the built-in input manager or the input system or rewired, and it has a C# interface so that you can plug in whatever input system or audio system you want to use. But out of the box, it'll work with rewired, the input system, or the basic input manager.
So we could use this on a touchscreen on a mobile device without a problem.
Yes, absolutely. I've seen people running around with their iPads and moving around in their grid-based games with this.
Oh my word! You know, you're saying it's rather easy. You still managed to get 17 pages worth of documentation out of that.
Well, one thing I have had the benefit of learning with all the previous assets is that you can never have too much explanation, too much guidance, because developers are so creative, and they will come up with all kinds of edge cases and strange things that they want to do to push the envelope of game design. So as clear as I can make it, I try to cover every possible case that I can think of.
Spider Language says, good coders do the best documentation. So true.
Yeah. So, sometimes we get a little bit technical, which is a pitfall for programmers.
Problem is with written documentation, like this is a PDF. Pardon me. Every time you've made an update now, you've got to generate a new doc.
Well, that's true, but I do tend to lead with written documentation because it's a little quicker to update versus video tutorials. I do plan on doing some video tutorials for Grid Controller, but they are a little bit harder to replace because people bookmark a specific video, then they go to that and might not realize, oh, there's a new version, new video.
How, you decide you've gone against doing it as a online manual on just web pages rather than a PDF? Or is that just so people can download it and read it at their leisure?
Exactly. It's short enough that they can print it out, even if they want to print it out, have something sitting on their desk and free up their monitors for actually working in Unity.
Tony, you got to save the trees. Save the trees.
Okay, they can view the PDF on their tablets. How's that?
Oh, I'm using the keyboard.
Right, and that's also compatible with touch.
Oh.
It also works with WASD or joystick. If you
I'm banging my head against the wall.
Yeah.
I love
if
that.
you right click on, it does have bounce, so you you have some feedback if you try to go into a blocked square.
Oh my gosh, I was not expecting to be able to look around, Tony.
And looking around is one of those strange edge cases, because if you look around past 90 degrees, it actually makes sense to physically turn the controller that 90 degrees. Otherwise, when you start moving again, the camera swings 90 or 180 degrees, which is very disorienting.
Okay, I'm here. I'm gonna move. I'm using these beams here as an indication for how much I've turned. Now,
right.
Chat, have I turned enough to be now facing left, or am I still facing right?
You're turned only about 45 degrees. So if you were to turn and face that door,
so I'd have to completely turn. See, at this point, I'm like here. I would be like, I've turned enough.
You can adjust that in the prefab, but by default, it's 80 degrees.
Anything that you'd think that you can adjust, Tony Lee's made it configurable so you can adjust it. And any idea you can think of in your head, Tony Lee's already thought of it first. You know, mate.
Well, I need to give a shout out to my local indie game developer group, the Baltimore Indie Game Devs. They did a code review of this with me, and were full of all kinds of suggestions for every programmer out there, whether you've been programming for days, years, or decades. If you can get your code reviewed, don't let it pass. Code reviews are wonderful for getting feedback.
Yes.
So I have them to thank for all the configuration options that I might otherwise have missed.
I love that you've got a crouch going on.
Yep. It does not have hit points. Systems like that are outside the scope of the movement controller, but it does everything that a good grid-based movement controller should do. It also has basic interaction of various sorts. You can walk up to doors, and they can be configured to open automatically, or by pulling a lever, or by interacting with the door. That one, for instance, opens automatically.
Don't expect there to be inventory systems in this. I mean, I'm already thinking of putting this in with Quest Machine and the dialogue system, and just flipping out a game immediately with this. Now you've also got on your page, I noticed, which I didn't see before, and I feel silly that I didn't see it before. Everyone knows that Tony Pixel Crushers has teamed up with Steve from Arteria to be selling the beautiful UMA models on the Unity Asset Store. But you've also got this feel and text animator and dialogue system bundle.
That's right. I teamed up with the developers of Text Animator and Feel, people who are familiar with the Corgi engine or the top-down engine should be familiar with Feel also. And this is just a free demo scene that shows how to use all three of those assets together.
I would love to see stuff like this, asset publishers making examples of like how you'd get things working together. By the way, Feel is also, if you've already got, as we've interviewed, was it last year before maybe now, they explained that if you own some of the assets, you already have Feel included. So have a look, go over to the asset store page, and you would see, I think if we go over down on where they got it here, maybe in the documentation. Was it right down the bottom? He was going to start working out how to update the page, but I'm pretty sure we'll find it. It's somewhere. Basically, if you own some of the other assets, you probably already own feel. So you can then take advantage of this demo scene that is on Tony Lee, the Pixel Crushers page, which is free, and you'll be able to try it out. Text animator for Unity. I don't recall that one.
Oh, that's a wonderful asset. It does wiggle text, animated text, rainbow text, any type of text effect you want. It can do it.
Oh my word. Pixel Shenanigans, I think more mountains. There we go. So, and it's on sale at the moment as well.
Mm-hmm.
You may already have it. It was in some bundles. Oh, let me go and stick it in my browser. Oh, hang on. And
so quite a few games that use Quest Machine or the dialogue system in particular also use text animator. It just makes that dialogue pop for that little extra bit of juice or polish.
oh, text animator for Unity. If it was in a bundle, I don't have it. I didn't get that bundle. But it's on a sale, 50% off going on at the moment on the sales. So, you know what that means, Tony? I'm going to have to go and pick it up after the stream and try it out.
And double check that you have feel or not. The Corgi and top-down engines and High Road engine have a subset of feel called feedbacks, but it's not the complete feel asset. If you want feel, it's a separate purchase. It's also 50% off right now, and it is amazing for adding juice to any projects.
We played about it when he was on the stream. It was mind-blowing. It was great. And I wasn't able to break it. I was not able to break feel when he was on. So
yeah, we had a fun time making the demo scene for the bundle. It's just a cute, short little scene, and Renault did the art for it.
Here, chat saying feel equals feedbacks plus demo scenes. Feedbacks comes with Corgi.
Mm-hmm.
Chat are going to go off and find exactly what's in and what's. Here we go. This asset contains feedbacks, nice vibrations, tools, and 35 demos. 35 demos. Feel is a major upgrade of the feedbacks assets. It's feedbacks 2.0, making it bigger and better. Owners of feedbacks can upgrade to Feel free of charge. Do not buy both of them. feedbacks and tools are already included in Corgi Engine top down. If you own any of these, only buy Feel if you need it as a separate package.
Ah, great.
There you go. This asset includes nice vibrations as a gift. Do not buy it twice. Feel work with all render pipelines. You can absolutely import Feel into a URP HDRP project. Awesome. So everyone in chat, I'm expecting you to run off after the stream and start playing about with Tony Lee's Feel text animator and dialogue system demo, and afterwards obviously you've purchased Grid Controller. Throw them all in with the dialogue engine and also with the Quest Machine, and then tell me what you're making.
Yeah, please share it with me too. I'd love to see projects that people are making with Pixel Crushers assets.
Now, Mike, we've got the results of the prediction, the results coming in. Do you want me to read you what the results were?
Let's see.
Okay, so bear with me 1 second. Where did it go? It's disappeared off the other. Choose. Here it comes. So, will Messi break the asset today? Yes, in the first 5 minutes, received 0.16% of the votes. 0.16%. I don't know how that works. Oh, people spend their flippy points to increase the weight of the score of the prediction. Oh my word. Okay. Yes, no idea when is 50%.
Ah, no faith.
No, this is Tony Lee is 50%. I'm looking at the two, and Flippy points, 6.3 thousand Flippy points for no, this is Tony Lee. 6.2 thousand Flippy points for yes, no idea when. Oh my word. So I'm going to have to say that the winner, even though some people spent a lot of money on Flippy points, no, this is Tony Lee, has won. Because of that 0.1 100 Flippy points.
Wow.
There you go. Congratulations.
Okay.
Dreadful saying, I have a question. Will there be new clothes for Uma?
Yes. Now that I will be upfront that the UMA outfits have not been a priority. The priority has been maintaining the code-based assets, dialogue system, love, hate, quest machine, and expanding, improving, and adding to the integrations. For instance, we recently added RPG Builder integration. RPG Builder is insanely popular right now for making RPGs. So we wanted to make sure that RPG Builder users had a really industrial strength dialogue solution.
How is that? How does it work with Steve? How does that? Do you sit together to decide what's being made, or are you just publishing as like, you know, or do you go to Steve and say, as your publisher on the Asset Store, we think that we should be doing X, Y, Z?
No, he provides the assets and I publish them. So I'm Pixel Crushers is serving just as the Asset Store publisher to make these assets available for people who want to maintain all of their assets in their Unity Asset Store account.
But you're one of those good publishers that don't dictate what the person should be doing then. Because I've seen some publishers that aren't so so nice, generous.
Well, you know, if I were making a game, I would want complete creative control. So, of course, Steve has complete creative control to do whatever he's moved to do as far as the art goes.
Tony started asking, weren't you yourself, Steve, Tony, converting those models for Steve over to Yuma at one point? Or was that all Arteria?
No, all Steve. Now, we were... Pixel Crushers does sort of clean up the assets a bit as far as the folder structures and naming conventions go, just to make everything consistent across all of the UMAs that are on the Asset Store. But the base art is all Steve.
I've got to say that I think some people know, but I a few years back paid Steve for a custom models job for actually quite a few different models, and I have to say there's a lot of attention and professionalism that goes in when Steve's making these models. There was a lot of back and forth. He converted all of them over to Uma, so it was he'd done all of that when I was working with him, and I would recommend a lot of these qualities of these new ones that we've seen. We've thrown them in some of the shiny armor into some projects. I'm looking here at this Roman. I'd love to play about with this Roman one. It looks lovely in there.
Oh yeah, year after year, I believe Steve's skill with creating these outfits has just increased every year.
It's nice to see him still going. I know, like at one point he was feeling maybe a little bit demotivated about the whole selling before he teamed up with you. So it looks like you publishing on the store has been a good lease of life to Arteria 3D. So congratulations for that, buddy.
Thanks.
Now, Love Hate is one of my favorite of your assets. Well, I kind of get a feeling it doesn't get as much love as it deserves.
Well, it's more of a back-end asset. It doesn't have the flashy graphics that, say, Grid Controller does, or the all the games that use the dialogue system, for instance. It more handles the numbers behind the characters' relationships and emotional states. So it's a little harder for people to really showcase it. But there are quite a few games that use it on the back end to make their NPCs more interesting.
Now, I can't recall if we talked about it before, but is it network ready? Are we able to use this on an online multiplayer game?
Yes. In fact, I think there is at least one project using it with Viz2K's UMMORPG,
Oh, nice.
and it's used on some other smaller as in like co-op style, smaller number of player multiplayer games.
So you'll be able to you could be used on authoritative, say that 10 times fast, networking.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Lovely. Oh, I am like, I didn't realize I've now reignited even more love for Love Hate. Oh, see, look, chat. Look what you could be doing, right? We could be doing Love Hate, Quest Machine, dialogue system for Unity, all using the character controlled by Grid Controller in the grid-based world, with characters, models from Pixel Crushers using Uma and all of these awesome different characters in there. And
sure,
a save system. Oh, you know, you've got your save system for Opsis, right? And you've got your save system for realistic FPS prefab. And then you've got the save system for UFPS. Where's the save system that's just the save system?
That's coming, possibly by the end of 2023.
Now, why has it not been there already?
Just have there was only so many hours in the day, but that's definitely one of the priorities for 2023, because the save system is used so widely for all of these specific controllers, like the OpSiv controller, but it's not currently available just as a general save system. Whereas it really could be, as it is right now, used just as a general save system. We just need to package it up and make sure that it's easy to use. It also is designed so that it's easy to integrate with different console platforms, which is one of its strengths. It's used quite a bit for Switch games, PlayStation games, Xbox games.
Chat's asking why Lua. I'm assuming, Etonics, I missed it earlier. That's in regards to Love Hate?
Lua would be the dialogue system.
Okay.
And there are a couple reasons for that. The historical reason is that the dialogue system originally imported from a third-party authoring application called ChatMapper, and ChatMapper used Lua, still uses Lua. Also, other external authoring programs more frequently than not use Lua if they don't use some kind of custom scripting system for their logic. But in addition to that, modders, including writers, are most familiar with Lua as far as languages go, and Lua is easily sandboxed so that it can be used without exposing any dangerous code. For instance, if your dialogue entry nodes could run arbitrary C# code, that would be a vulnerability. Someone could put in some C# code that could do something like delete files, some malicious code. So it's for safety as well as historical reasons and for reasons of familiarity to modders and writers.
There you go. I never had that question before. Thank you for that. Thank you for the question. Thank you for the answer. While you were doing that, I'm just being nosy and nosing around this demo scene. You see that you've got this vertical door script on there, open sound, close sound, and then it's got the door transfer form and animation. You've got triggers. When you get near it, it's just going to trigger open method on the door. And then we've got interactable one. So it's all nice and very clean. Like it's not. I don't have 50 different scripts thrown on objects. When I look at the controller, I've got grid controller, and down there I've got grid controller input and the audio, an interactor telling me what masks are interactable. Free look, and that's looks like that's about it.
That's it. It's nice and simple. I tried to make it as simple and just transparent as possible. You may notice that the input and the audio are both separated out, and that is so someone could swap out again the input, the basic input class with an input system class or a rewired class. They're both included, or some custom input class, and the same for the audio. You could swap it out for an Fmod or a Wise audio script instead.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, it's a bit loud, isn't it? Ivan's eardrums have just exploded. Let's turn off the sound.
There we go.
And I love
all of these art assets are also included, of course.
Free art assets, you can't complain. And because the controller here is saying how big the grid is, then that's why you don't have to have anything on the actual tiles that say go to this location. It's saying what position I'm in. I should be in the center of this tile, then I can go forward or left, right, this number of paces to the next tile.
Yes, exactly. And it also handles inclines and declines.
Oh, good, because I was about to say, this is all well and good if it's a flat world, but what if I've got hills and lumps and bumps?
And of course, since I'm a programmer, it has an extensive API. You can do everything through code also, teleport the player to different locations or change around any of the settings.
So can I also go up a flight of stairs?
Yes. Now, there aren't any stairs in this demo.
But you do have an incline.
But yeah, you could certainly add stairs.
This is kind of like a stair. It's a ramp I'm going up. Oh, let me share my screen to you on Teams so you can actually see.
I'm watching your Twitch stream right now.
Yeah, it's not,
so
it's not nice of me making you do that, Tony, because it's delayed. And I'm not, I should be a better host. You know what I mean? It's like I've invited you to my house.
There's also a little hidden area a little bit further back that you need to crouch to get under. Of course, it does have crouch, and it detects the low ceilings so that you can only get through low areas if you're crouched.
What have you made using this with your love of these types of games?
Nothing yet, but I actually back in the 90s I did make a game similar to this. The graphics were more rudimentary. They were in EGA graphics, if that rings a bell with anyone. But with this specific asset, Grid Controller, I have not used it yet to make a full game. Now, plenty of users already have that.
Isn't this this is like original Wolfenstein though was like this, wasn't it?
I don't believe Wolfenstein had inclines and declines, but it was free motion. You could slide left and right and move anywhere. You were not constrained to a grid.
Are you sure? My brain is remembering it that I was constrained to a grid. I remember my brain's remembering it wrong then. Chat, maybe chat. Can you recall if the original Wolfenstein, not the 2D like written text one, but Wolfenstein 3D, was that grid based? Were we restricted to a grid? They will say. Oh, nice thing in the chat asking about Dungeon Architect.
Yeah, there's no reason why you couldn't use Dungeon Architect or Dungeon or any of the generators. In fact, I think if I were to make a game with this anytime in the near future, I would probably use a dungeon generator just to make it easy and also to make it fun for me so that the dungeon is new every time.
Yes. Wolf 3D may have had 90-degree turns though. They're saying that they don't feel like it was grid based.
Right.
This gives Duke Nukem feels. Maybe it's Duke Nukem I'm thinking of.
No, Duke Nukem was freeform also.
Oh, there you go. Do you know what? I love the fact that my brain thinks of Duke Nukem as a modern game. You know,
we're showing our age a little bit.
Exactly. It's like, oh, these new games like Duke Nukem. It's like, oh, Tony, I was playing an amazing new game the other day, Dark Forces. It's a Star Wars game. It's really popular with the kids these days.
Well, you know what's old is new sometimes. I had a lot of fun playing both of the Legend of Grimrock games, which I believe came out in like 2015 and 2017, which is not new, but certainly newer than 1981.
I need to now sit after this stream and Google all of these names and download all of these games that you're mentioning, because I feel like I've just missed out on so much.
Some of your older chat viewers may recall a game called The Bard's Tale. That was another game of this style.
I remember that one. I do remember.
Now there was a recently kickstarted Bard's Tale that had all new graphics, and I believe you had the option of grid-based movement or freeform movement in that one. But of course, when I played that, I used grid-based movement. Just it feels good to move on a grid.
Would it be hard to add a mini-map?
No, you could use any mini-map asset that's already out there. I do plan on adding a mini-map at some point, but it hasn't been a priority because there are some very good mini-map assets already on the asset store.
I think, chat, let me double check. I think, because I did a mini-map in Chicky Taxi. Didn't I do a tutorial on YouTube on how to make mini-maps in your game? Let me see. Oh, I did it on a live stream. I did it on a live stream, but I never saved it on a YouTube video. There you go. Tony, I'm gonna make my mini-map as a public tutorial on YouTube and get it working with Grid Controller.
Well, there you go, chat folks. Minimap and Grid Controller.
Etonic says he prefers playing live action Frogger.
Yeah.
I can't believe how simple to use this is.
Well, thank you. You can see that there are quite a lot of options. So
yes.
The code behind it, I feel is very clean and well commented, but there is a significant amount of code behind it to make sure that it's as simple as possible at this level.
Enable a head bob. Oh, let's put a head bob on and see what that difference that's going to make. Turning counts as move. So how do I change you were saying before it's set at 80 degrees, was it?
That would be on the free look.
So if I go down to free look here, is that on the limit horizontal rotation? Do I have to enable that?
Yeah, I believe I believe it might be set at 80, and you can just limit it so that you can't turn past that.
Okay.
Everything has a tooltip, so you can hover over it with the mouse for people who are using Grid Controller and get an explanation of what each of these options do.
I'll read it out to chat because the OBS won't show the tooltips. It says max left-right rotation only valid if limit horizontal rotation is ticked. Otherwise, rotation is unlimited. Limited to 79 degrees because past 80 degrees, controller actually turns 90 degrees. Because, hey, you've already got so far, you might as well finish it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's see what the head bob does. I love the fact that everyone's like normally turns off head bob on any controller they ever get. And there's me turning it on. Oh, that's made me a little bit nauseous. No wonder everyone turns it off.
Yeah. I believe the default head bob is a little bit extreme, but I wanted to make sure that you could really see what the head bob was doing, and then you can tone it down if you want to. But it's of course something that you can turn off at runtime.
You made it extreme. Some people really knew that head was bobbing. So what should I tweak down then to because we've got head bob focus distance,
head bob height.
Okay.
So if you were to change that to say 0.02 or something like that.
If I go into the negative, what happens then?
I think it might bob down instead of up, but positive probably will give you a better looking result.
Whoa.
Now that's a bit extreme.
I like that. We like that. Wow. I wonder if you could make something like a Lara Croft game with this.
Well, Lara Croft is so you see that's more of a third person controller, and the Tomb Raider games were free movement also. But there's no reason why you couldn't do a first person grid based Tomb Raider style game.
Oh, Tony, do you know what I've just thought of in my head?
Oh, what's that?
Dora the Explorer.
Yeah, why not?
Oh, nice. Spider Language has to run. See you next time. See you next time, buddy. Thank you for coming. Hopefully, this has ignited some kind of ideas inside you. So you'd be making. We've got Tomb Raider. We've got Aliens ripoff. We've got Dora the Explorer. We've had the Duke Nukem kind of vibe going on. There's loads. So like this controller here, as we're going around, there's nothing to stop me from having like some kind of FPS gun on here that I can then aim and shoot, is there?
No, not at all. Or a wand to throw fireballs, or a sword like the Ultima Underworld games, whatever you want to do. So maybe 2023 will be the year that brings back grid-based controllers. I feel like 2022, as far as Pixel Crushers powered games go, it was the year of puzzle adventure games. We had point-and-click adventures like Plot of the Druid and Voodoo Detective. Voodoo Detective had the composer of Monkey Island, Psychonauts, and other classic games like that, and really an all-star voice acting cast, Hollywood actors and famous video game voice actors.
What was that one called? I've not heard of that.
Voodoo Detective.
Voodoo Detective. Why do I live under a rock? Why do I live under a rock?
I think point and click adventures tend to be somewhat of a niche genre, but for whatever reason, 2022 saw a lot of dialogue system powered point and click adventures.
I do love your tweets. That's how I keep track of stuff. Is when you tweet, this game's made with dialogue system, or this game's made with Chris Machine. Like, I'm like, oh, okay, now I know a new game.
Yeah, I think 2023, you will see me tweeting a lot about life sim games. Stardew Valley style games like Ova Magica, While the Iron is Hot, which is a medieval blacksmith life sim game, and Fair Moon Museum, which is another life sim game where you run a museum kind of in the vein of Stardew Valley.
Oh my word! Can we go to the Pixel Crushers website and see like a big list of these? Do you have them saved somewhere?
We do have a games showcase page if you'd like to go to pixelcrushers.com. Some of those games are not yet on the showcase. I'm a little bit behind in getting maybe a few dozen games. So I apologize for the developers who are making those games that aren't yet on the list.
Back in the XT days, chat says, there was a Pac-Man ripoff where you saw the game from Pac-Man's perspective. I think I remember that.
I do too.
Games using dialogue system for Unity. Copa's Atlas. Let bygones be bygones. I've seen the Jenny LeClue. Didn't that win awards? Jenny LeClue.
It did.
I've got Suzerain.
Yeah. That is a stressful game. You play the president of a 1950s country, yeah. But that game has won awards too. It's a fantastic game.
I did not last long in it, to be honest. So this Over Magica is the one that you were saying is like a Stardew Valley type.
Yes. Except instead of 2D pixel art, it's some very cute 3D art.
Are they using the what are they called? The Mega Cute Zoo models? Oh no, I don't know. I think these might be custom made. No, these are custom made.
They have it's also a Pokemon style game where you collect these blob creatures, and they frequently have. But it's really just one developer. A developer named Claudia frequently has competitions where Twitter followers can suggest new blobs, and she will create their custom blobs and add them to the game.
Awesome. See, I was thinking, because my son went through a Pokemon stage, and we didn't have a Nintendo, so I was struggling. So I started making a Pokemon type game in Unity very briefly. And what made me stop was the lack of being able to find enough creatures diverse enough to make it interesting. I love this stuff of them being blobs, because it just means like, okay, your base body is a blob and then extra bits on. It's like Spore, but Pokemon.
Right. It's super cute too, all the different variations on the blobs.
Love it. So is this using does it say what is it just using dialogue system, or is it using Quest Machine or anything else in there?
I don't recall if it's using Love-Hate, but it's certainly using the dialogue system.
Of course, Disco Elysium. So many stuff. It's like you're more likely to find that the game has used dialogue system than it hasn't these days.
Well, if it has dialogue and they have not written their own dialogue solution, then the odds are not bad that they're using the dialogue system for Unity. Yeah, Lake is another
Yes.
game. I guess you could call that a life sim game that released their PlayStation version in 2022.
We played Lake on the stream,
Ah,
and I I managed to break it a couple of times, and I said the devs, because the devs are actually some of the devs are asset publishers as well, on the asset store,
mhm.
and managed to break it a little bit. But oh my, that, do you know what was a bit weird? Is that I started getting stressed out playing Lake.
Really?
Yeah,
That
like,
it's supposed to be such a relaxing
I
game.
know. Everyone else is like, they play it to unwind, and I'm all like stressed about getting to where I need to be on time or not getting lost. So yeah, I'm the opposite. I was feeling a bit too much pressure playing playing Lake. My gosh.
Now, speaking of Lake, I recently learned that in the 1930s, in the United States, we had a severe economic um, downturn called the Great Depression
Yes.
that um, that significantly affected, particularly people in the middle of the country, um, a rural area called Appalachia, which is mostly a mountain range near the East Coast, but sort of more toward the center of the country, was especially hard hit. And I recently learned that there was a cadre of female librarians who went out on horseback to deliver books to these struggling and impoverished Appalachian rural citizens.
Whoa.
I thought that that was a really fantastic story for a game that might be something like Lake crossed with Red Dead Redemption, because they had to deal with wildlife, wolves, coyotes. They had to deal with hostile people who might not trust what they were doing, and of course they had to brave the elements to bring these books to all the people throughout these areas that did not have roads yet. So they were just spending nights out in the wilderness and on horseback. And I thought that that would be maybe not quite as chill as Lake, but an interesting premise for a game.
Do you know what? I think I might be less stressed playing that,
Yeah, you
because at
would at
least
least have a horse companion,
yeah,
right?
exactly. You got a horse companion, and every now and again, you've got someone trying to eat your face to take your mind off things. Uh,
Yeah.
oh, the Spirit of the Mouse videos. You need to update the videos are off on the are no longer available. Uh,
Well, I will update that video. Thank you. That game released this year. Wonderful game. If it's a cozy, wholesome style game, but has a wonderful art. And if you like puzzle games, it's fantastic.
so beautiful as well. Um, I haven't played it yet. I'm a little, because the concept, you're this mouse and there's a spirit that's accompanying you, spirit mouse, and I'm thinking to myself, am I going to be too upset with this, like playing this game? Is it going to have a very sad story to it? So yeah, I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and put it in. This looks very. I love these type of toon shaded games.
Now, the one of the developers who worked on the Spirit of the Mouse, I believe, also worked on another game that released this year that uses the dialogue system called A Walk with Yaya. It's a very short game. If you have an hour and you're up for a wholesome game that might also be a bit of a tearjerker,
Oh dear.
I would recommend playing that.
Oh wow. Okay. Is it on Steam or the Epic Store or both?
A Walk with Yaya is on Steam. I don't know if it's on any other consoles or other storefronts. The Spirit and the Mouse is on Steam, I believe GOG, certainly Switch, and I think Xbox, and they are working on the PlayStation version now.
Awesome. So
Now, this
many
game that
stuff.
you're looking at, The Last Door, is by the team that did Blasphemous.
I don't know Blasphemous. Which one's is Blasphemous? The one where you're dead?
Blasphemous is the art style is based on the artist Goya, but it's a Metroidvania. It's a highly detailed pixel art Metroidvania.
So many great games.
Yeah, that's the difficulty of our age, right? Too many games to play, not enough time.
Exactly. And do you know what else? When you're sitting there struggling, coming up with a good game concept, and you come here and look on the showcase, and it shows you all of these great imaginative games that people have come up with. I was playing one with my son on that I'd got him on Steam. I think it was in a bundle, or maybe I bought it. And it's one where you're a dung beetle pushing the stone around, and it's like got loads of arcade pinball machine type flippers. And he was engaged. I was loving it. Then he got a little bit bored with it because it was a bit frustrating. So he went back to playing his tablet. But I was like, this is I would never have come up with this concept. Like a dung beetle pinball machine, 2D, 3D platformer.
I feel very fortunate that so many games have used and are using Pixel Crusher's assets. I know that assets are only a small part of the game. It takes the design, the art, everything, but it's really an honor to be a part of a lot of these really imaginative games.
So much cool stuff. And yeah, I mean, Pixel Crushers gives you a great head start if you're making a game out there. Now, chat is also saying that Mesh Tint's got a load of great stuff that's good for a Pokemon game. They do. That's what I was using.
Mm-hmm.
I picked up quite a few Mesh Tint stuff, but there's just so much there.
Let's have one more.
I'd have to give him. Well, thank you, Sinat, for the follow. Also, I haven't yet been able to get Mesh Tint to agree to come onto a stream. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get. I'll buy more of his assets after he comes on the stream to try and entice them. Not sure if it's gonna work or not.
Great. Yeah, I like their stuff, so I would be very happy to watch a stream with them.
Everyone in chat, reach out to the people that you want to see on stream, like the beautiful Tony Lee, because in the Discord we had people asking, when's the next time Pixel Crushers are coming on? When's Tony Lee coming back on stream? So we reached out to Tony, and here he is. Because
well, it's been a pleasure.
I always love having you on because I learn so much as well when you're on the stream. And this now, just playing about with Grid Controller, has made me. In my head, I've got so many game designs now playing. I've got like a flip book of games that I'm thinking that I want to make using Grid Controller. And other things we could throw in. It's crying out to be used with Quest Machine, really. Like obviously is chat. You can't get more obvious than I'm in some kind of dungeon and I've got quests to do. It writes itself, doesn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Oh my word.
Of course. You could populate the dungeon with all kinds of characters to talk to also and use the dialogue system.
Exactly. You could put a load of Umbers in, get all those Umbers dressed nicely. What Pixel Crushers needs to do next, obviously, is start pardon me, releasing 3D art environment assets.
Well, I think a lot of publishers have the various genres covered really well. Enhance and Blink do a great job with the toony stylized 3D. Yeah. Cinti, of course, has the lock on the faceted low poly style.
Oh, I would say, Tony,
Mhm.
if you catch my YouTube, you'll be able to see there's a few new, like Just Create. Um, there's Gigel did a review of one of his Roman packs recently. Yeah,
Mhm.
there's quite a few out there. Pardon me, that are making some really good uh, low poly alternatives to Cinti's. I love Cinti, don't get me wrong, but yeah, there's a few alternatives. And he's in our Discord. I'm gonna get spanked, chat, aren't I? I've forgotten his name. It begins with a P. Chat. They begin with a P. They're in our Discord. They make low poly stuff. We've reviewed it on the YouTube chat. We've not Pokemon. Um, we reviewed them on the YouTube. Proto. What is it called? Chat's gonna find out. I feel really bad now. Chat's gonna have to fix it for me. Polyart.
Polyart.
Polyart was another
Mhm.
one, but there was another one. Polyart we just did yesterday. But yeah, Polyart. Right, chat. We're gonna find it in a second because I won't be able to sleep at night if I won't be able to do it. But yeah, what would you do then? What would you find that hasn't been done yet?
What a good question. Uh, I'm a programmer, so I'm going to continue focusing on making well-engineered code assets. But as far as art assets go, I will leave that to the creative artists to dream up things that I have no ability to create.
Well, I would say you've already got a partnership with Arteria 3D. And Arteria 3D have got not only UMA models, they've got a load of environment models over on their store. He's even got audio and music on
Mhm.
his store. Any plans to bring more Arteria products over to the Unity Asset Store?
Well, I will need to talk with Steve about that. If he is game for that, then I may be able to arrange something with him.
You haven't already? I don't. I'm now delving into personal conversations that you've had, may or may not have had, with Steve. But I'm like, oh, have you already had these chats with him? Have you not? Oh,
Yeah, well, so far, he has sent me Yuma assets that I have not yet gotten onto the store.
no
So
way. There's
I have a
more.
bit of a backlog there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So, chat. The other asset publisher I was thinking of, because we have to be like, we would say there's the other soft beverages, not just Coca-Cola to drink. There's Polytope Studio is the one I'm thinking of. On our Discord, very, very lovely member of our Discord. Polytope Studio. We've done a review of that over on YouTube, exclamation mark YouTube. There's also Noodle. Noodle have got a lot of great low poly stuff, and Giggle as well. And obviously Polyart Studios we had on just the other day as well. But it's more stylized. They do a lot of stylized stuff. So yeah. But I've got to say, I haven't seen another grid controller on the asset store. So I think if you're looking for a grid controller, there's only one place to go, and that's Pixel Crushers.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And if anyone has any questions about it, feel free to drop into our Discord or email me directly or drop a note on our forum.
Oh, can you push me a link to your Discord in DM me on Discord? A link to your
Yes,
Discord,
absolutely.
and I will post it in the chat. Because if you try to post in the chat, you'll get banned by the bot because it's posting a link. Exclamation mark Pixel Crushers in chat. Exclamation mark Pixel. Tony's so good he gets both commands. I think you can also do an exclamation mark Grid Controller in chat to go straight to a link to Grid Controller. I'm loving it, and it is ridiculous because we're like wondering, like, are there any restrictions on what we can do? Okay, chat. There isn't, because if I look here, this is just objects placed down in the scene. There's no logic tied to the environment at all. Only the doors and interactables. So the floor, there is no logic applied to that. So I can now add other buildings or other things in here. I could, let's start breaking things, Tone. If I start making that a little bit tighter to squeeze through. Let's see if that works.
If you wanted to, and that will also depend on the size of the collision box that you can specify on the grid controller component.
Ooh, I was going to ask you where, because obviously with the ground, the capsule collider is what's making me go up the ramp. Is that right?
There is no capsule collider. Well, yes, there is a capsule collider. It's used for detecting entrance into triggers. But as far as the basic movement goes, it actually just uses a few raycasts. So it's very efficient.
So when I'm going to go up a ramp or up a stairs, how does it know that the ground is raising up? It needs to have the collider that it's raycast and bouncing off.
Yeah, well, no, it's doing a raycast to down from a point specified on the grid controller component.
So if I'm doing this, we're going to have to work this out to do stairs then, because as you're going up the stairs, you might want to do that bob as it's going up, animated bob, 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 head up this, up the 3 steps at a time.
Well, if you wanted to, if you wanted to do the head bob, for instance, you could put a trigger collider on the stairs, and whenever you're in that trigger collider, you turn on head bob.
Ooh.
Yeah, it looks like it's just narrow enough. And it does, of course, detect the tighter walls.
Yeah. Can't bang my head against them.
You could do an exterior environment if you wanted. I believe for the video tutorial, I'll probably use Cinti's sci-fi environment just for some variety.
It is a beautiful environment. It is lovely. Oh my word. I am. Oh my God. Can I get into this crack here? No, this is the thing. It has to be right in front of me, so I can't sneak in to a half crack. Can you take half steps?
No, it's grid based, so there's no halves on the grid.
And so it's like, no, don't be silly. But if I wanted to sneak into this part, if you can see my screen here. Oh my God! Do you know what I just had in my mind? Like your body would like here. If I pause it now, right? Imagine now the camera is the controller. Okay, I'm on the grid. Okay, I'm on the grid. But here I would put an event. Okay, so this is where I'll do my custom coding, because that's the whole point. Like you can. It's extendable. You can do your own stuff. You don't have to be stuck within the confines of any kit or any asset you purchased. Your imagination is what frees you up. So here I would put an event, interactable event here, that as I try to come to this block here, that it's got a little gap here, I would then be animated that it's here like this, and then does a side step and then comes through the other side.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh my word. So even just looking at your beautiful face gives me so many ideas of what to come up with using this kit. Oh.
Well, all of the methods in all of the relevant methods in all of the scripts are virtual also. So any of these scripts are easily subclassable if you want to add in extra functionality. And there are also Unity events exposed in the inspector if you don't want to deal with code.
That's what I was going to play about shoving them in as the events and the inspector, but I love the fact that they're virtual, because I've had other assets where I've had to gone in and changed it all to myself. Go, now you're virtual, now you're virtual, now you're virtual, now you're virtual, and I better remember to do that next time they do an update. Otherwise, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
And that's really frustrating.
I do have to also compliment Renaud, who does the Corgi and top-down engine assets. He does an excellent job also of making sure that his scripts methods are virtual. It's very easy to subclass his scripts also and add your own functionality in. So I wanted to make sure that Grid Controller, as well as all the other Pixel Crushers assets, are just as easy to customize.
I love it when other assets, the quality of other asset publishers encourages other asset publishers also to match and keep up the quality. Normally, it's everyone trying to keep up with you, though, Tony. So it's nice to hear you talking about somebody else. You've been extremely kind to give me a free copy of Grid Controller to give away as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, it's been my pleasure. Yeah, I thank you for everyone who's watching for sitting through this.
Sitting through it? Mate, we're sitting on the edge of our seats. We're giddy. We're giddy with excitement. We can't contain ourselves. We are like exploding all over the screen with excitement. Exclamation mark raffle in chat. If, like me, your mind is just a gush with so many, I'm not even going to say plethora, because it's impossible to have a plethora of ideas when it comes to this, because there's never enough. There's never too many. Exactly. Kilda says, we could go all night. We could go for more hours. This is the Captain America of the Unity Asset Store, Pixel Crushers, Tony Lee, with us. Who we were talking about the other day with Cleverus, commenting that Tony Lee is a marketing genius because he's always so active on the Unity forums, answering every type of random question anyone could ever post. There's Tony Lee popping up like magic, like Mr. Ben, answering away. And when I was chatting to Tony, I was like, we were thinking you were a marketing genius. And Tony, what did you say?
I think I'm more of a Forrest Gump. I just happened to be there. When I answer questions on the forum, it's because I want to help. But I'm very happy that those posts also happen to have links to our assets.
And they will forever. You are you are a marketing genius without
accidental genius.
You're an accidental, inadvertent. You might need to explain Mr. Ben to people. No, Pixel Shenanigan, I refuse to explain Mr. Ben. People are going to have to work out who Mr. Ben is. And that also dates me quite somewhat. Now, Chris, What We Can Make Games ask a question: would other systems, would it be hard to add doors that require keys? Again, this is not an inventory based system. So what you would do, let me speak on behalf of Tony to see how I would take advantage of this. This door here has these open doors that we can, if I find the doorway here. So vertical door open on here, on this vertical door, and we can call that from any kind of event. So what you'd do is, in your inventory system, you'd go, do I have the key for this door? Yes, I do. Do I have an action to use key? Yes, I do. Therefore, just call the method on the vertical door that is open, and then it would open. So it doesn't inherently have any special logic built into it. Did I answer that accurately, Tony?
Yeah, I like that answer. The way I would approach it is for the type of automatic door that opens automatically if you have a key, is that I would create a subclass of this entry-exit trigger, and in that subclass, check if the player has the door. There is also an interactable door with an interactable component, and in that case, you could make a subclass of the interactable that checks if the player has a key And when you try to interact, it only opens the door if the player has the correct key.
Yeah.
And then it's just a matter of, like you see there, the on interact event tells the vertical door to open.
And it's so elegant in its design. It's beautiful. I love it.
Thank you. Again, I will give another shout out to my Baltimore Indie Game Devs group. They gave me a lot of great feedback creating this. And I do like to design and create assets with a lot of feedback before it's released to make sure that people so that I'm not just creating something that I am intimately familiar with, but something that someone can pick up and use right away.
We didn't talk about the update mode. You can have turn-based or real-time.
That's right. A lot of games in this style are turn-based, where you move, then the enemies move, or whatever else happens, rather than just moving around in real time. Now, the turn-based does require one line of code where you call the grid controller's process turn method, and that moves or does whatever input you have put in prior to calling that method.
Oh, mate. I was working on a project a few years ago, a freelance gig, I won't mention names, but a rather famous YouTuber asked me to work on a game for them, and I was making like a Darkest Dungeon type thing, and yeah, it was turn-based, and now in my head I've got like, oh, another idea, turn-based Darkest Dungeon type, but using grid controller.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I hope watching you do all of this has given your viewers lots of ideas of different ways to use grid controller.
Well, it's not on the sale at the moment, but it's so cheap it might as well be. You know what I mean? Just exclamation mark grid controller. For one lucky winner though, you're going to be able to pick it up for absolutely nothing as a gift from Pixel Crushers right now live on the stream. Now, Tony, would you like to do the drum roll noise?
Well, you can probably do it better, but I'll give it a shot here.
Oh my word, that was perfect. That was the best drum roll we've ever had. And the winner is Baroque Dub. Oh my word. Now, Tony, last night, Baroque Dub won the Action Adventure Kit, right? However, Stella Martinez was like, really like, she was, I want that kit. I wanted to win. I didn't win. And he gave away his winnings, his copy, his prize, gave it away to Stella. Now, that is, wonderful. There's no way I think he's going to be giving this one away. There you go. It's Baroque Dub. That's what you get when you plug the asset. The Baroque Dub did the exclamation mark grid controller just before he was announced as the winner. So, exclamation mark grid controller caused Baroque Dub to win. I know he didn't really, but... And Baroque Dub says, this is better, more old school, perfect for me. Google says, good karma. And Stella's like, to me! Sorry, Stella, he's keeping this one. He's keeping this one for himself. Wow. Gilda says, I also appreciate that Pixel Crushers has evaluation versions of some assets. Would be great if more people did that. Yep. And live demos as well to check them out. Like the grid controller.
Yeah, grid controller has a demo. I felt like it was simple enough that an evaluation version wasn't necessary. You get the idea. It's pretty straightforward from the demo.
It does what it says on the tin.
But for the more extensive assets like Love Hate and Quest Machine and the dialogue system, yeah, everyone feel free. If you don't already have a copy, download the evaluation version and play around with it. It does pretty much everything that the full version does. It just doesn't have the source code. And while right now the evaluation versions do not have Text Mesh Pro support, in the next release of the evaluation versions, Text Mesh Pro support will be built in.
I was shocked to find, I didn't realize this, in the newest versions, well, newest, is it 21 and above? There is only Text Mesh Pro in the UI. I went to add a button to add like the non-Text Mesh Pro version, and there was no option for it. There was only a Text Mesh Pro UI text options available.
Yeah, in 2021, the old text components are hidden away in a sub-menu called Legacy. And I believe in 2022, they're even harder to get to.
Yeah.
They're really trying to make Text Mesh Pro the default for all text.
Yeah, chat saying it's about time. They should have done it a long time ago. Yeah, the old texts are ugly. And I always used to, because when I was trying, in my many failed attempts to make assets, I would always make my own stuff, like my demos, using Text Mesh Pro. And then I would have to go back and edit out all of my scripts to go, no, it's not a Text Mesh Pro script. It has to be normal text because, people make goods. And now I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah. And of course, all of our assets do have support for Text Mesh Pro, Super Text Mesh, and Text Animator.
I'm gonna have to get that Text Animator now that you've told me about it, and I don't already own it because, if Pixel Crushers support something, then it's got to be a good thing. And Love Hate, Quest Machine, and the dialogue system for Unity are all on a 50% sale. That sale ends tomorrow, so you've still got time.
Yes.
!Pixel in chat to get a hold of these amazing assets. And if you're wondering, is it good enough for a game, or you just want to go over to their website and you see the million games that have been made using the dialogue system for Unity.
And I will try for the developers who are using our assets and you don't see your game on the showcase page, even though you submitted them. I apologize. I will get them on as soon as I can to provide more inspiration for everyone viewing.
Oh my gosh. I love that there's Simon the Sorcerer. There's so many games that I'm like, I know this game. I played this game. I know this game. And then you're like, I didn't realize it was using Tony Lee's assets. There's so much stuff. Oh my word. The multiplication dragons.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Rise of the King.
Yeah, some of these are a bit older.
This was amazing. This one though, like totally, like when you saw this when Revelation Games, what they were working on, I was really sad when this one, got canned because it was so much potential. He actually made a Polygon game like in the similar style after this. I
didn't know that.
Yeah. Which was great. Test that I played a demo of that one. I think we played that on the stream as well. Simon the Sorcerer. Oh my word. Oh. So Tony, you know what's going to happen, right? There's going to be a load of people from our Discord and on the stream here that are going to run off now, pick up your assets that are in the cell and make a load of stuff, meaning that you're going to have even more to add to your showcase.
Okay, that is my New Year's resolution. Send me any games that you would like to add to the showcase, and I will do my best to get them on as quickly as I can.
Well, wait. Google FB says, I'm probably going to get Quest Machine, even though I'm actually making a hack and slash. This stuff is too good to pass. Well, Quest Machine's going to go brilliant with your hack and slash, because if you watch the YouTube video that I did with Tony a couple of years ago, it shows you how you can actually set up quests for that. Perfect for that. And Pixel Shenanigans says, I just went and bought Quest Machine. I can see it's going to save me so much time. So Pixel went and got Pixel.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, we've done our job. If one person went out and clicked a link and purchased the assets, then I can rest easy tonight, because Tony Lee deserves it, because these are not only for the amazing support you give the community, mate, but your stuff really is a time saver as well.
Well, thank you. Yeah, our mission statement is to make assets that help people finish games, to actually get a good playable game out the door and on a store. So anything we can do to help with that, just let us know.
Oh, you know what? You're going to get people going, can you make my game for me? That's
Well, okay, to a degree.
So the procedural dungeon toolkit, not currently on a sale, but still an amazing asset. You'll be part of that 20% if you're really using it. If you want to make a procedural dungeon, we've had him on the stream before. Very easy to use. Yet another dungeon toolkit generator thingamajig. So you'll be able to use this and then throw in your grid controller and walk around and doing stuff.
Mm-hmm. I have not used this with grid controller, but I've used PDT in other prototypes. Works great.
There you go. How can you not have used it with grid controller? It's crying out to be used with grid controller.
It is, isn't it? In the future.
Oh, mate. Well, I'm going to let you go and grab so you can grab some food. Thank you so much for coming on and showing the amazing, the beautiful, the fantastic grid controller that's inspired me so much that I'm actually shaking. My legs are all tingling, Tony, and I haven't even been bitten by a spider.
Yeah, make a good game. Let us have a good game to play.
Oh, hang on. I didn't say I was going to make a good game. I just said I was going to make a game at best.
Well, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. I hope we can do it again soon.
Oh, mate, you definitely have to come back soon because we're gonna have to do a game jam where you're going to be one of the playtesters and sponsors. Mate, thanks again for coming on.
My pleasure. All right, bye everyone.
See you on. What a beautiful, beautiful badger. If you want to see more of my crazy videos, click on the left side of your screen now. And down below, there's that big juicy subscribe button. And right next to it is the magic bell that if you click it, it will tell you if I've got a new video coming out. Till next time.